Welcome back to Fullerton College Print 145 Variable Data Print. This is your instructor, Ben Hewitt, and today we're going to take a look at some of the formatting issues and character support issues that are lacking in CSV files. Remember, CSV files are kind of our only option for a lot of data integration because it doesn't crash systems. When you use XML-based XLS and XLSX files and other weirder older ones, you run into some problems where the code conflicts with the code of the integration. So instead of getting what you think you're going to get, you get something weird or it just crashes your system. More often than not, it just crashes, by the way. Again, it's like if you name a dog Sit and you say, hey boy, hey Sit, come here Sit. What does your dog do? Because that's the problem with using XLSX files to make data integration. The code that defines how the file knows what it is also the code that defines how to use it. And that just doesn't work. So let's take a look at some of the problems with CSV files. I shouldn't call them problems because this is our chosen file type. This is the good one. So let's say some of the challenges. That sounds more professional and positive, right? Some of the challenges of CSV files. So now I'm going to mess with our main file here. Our first name, like I said, you get really familiar with is James Butt. So I'm going to play with a butt here on the video for you. And now when your family, friends, roommates, parents, kids come in the room and ask what you're doing, just let them know you're watching videos about butts. Okay, now that I've gotten that out of my system, maybe, let's take a look at what we can do with this butt. So one of the things I noticed, having to work with variable data in the field for 5 years, is not every single name out there is English. In fact, most names in the world are not English, and not all of them use the normal 26 letters of the English version of the Roman alphabet. Some of them use extra characters with extra accents and extra things. Things like stresses in Spanish words and ñes and tildes that go on top of n's. Those weird little O hat things in French for hôpital instead of hospital. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm actually not very good with French. Kind of wish I was. And umlauts and things like that in German and Scandinavian languages, all sorts of things that just cannot be really done easily using the normal alphabet. And the problem is, similar to what we were talking about with the other file types, to use those characters that are outside of the normal basic ASCII characters, those characters are not defined using normal just text character notes. They're used using Unicode and extra things beyond normal text. So just like the Excel file can't be used because the formatting in it causes it to conflict with the programming of the variable data program we're going to write, the script, sorry, we don't have to write the program, just the script. The other issue here is also that it requires additional script to put in those special characters. I know it's a bit Eurocentric and a bit English-centric, or Anglo-centric, I'm sorry about that. It's just how the programming was done on computers. We're working to make that better, we meaning the whole general computing industry out there. Okay, so let's take a look here. Another problem with that is that these characters are done differently on Windows and on Mac platforms. So James Butt is going to get an umlaut up in his butt here. It's going to be James Butt. Now he's German. James Butt. In fact, let's also do this. James Butt. Cool. That's all I wanted to do. So this type of character thing will save just fine if you save it as an Excel file. But let's do a save as. I swear I can use computers. I go save as. We're going to call this. Sorry. Okay. I'm not going to use the umlauts in here for same reasons. Comma separate variable values. We're saving it as a CSV. Save. You should get a warning. Oh my gosh, some features in your workbook might be lost if you save as a CSV. That is true. You will lose them. We also don't want them. Bye, Felicia. So I've saved the file as a CSV document, and we're now going to take a look at what happens to it. And of course, now that I've said this, I've lost the Because of course, I somehow managed to close the window that had it. Okay, I found it. We're good to go here. So we have the US 500-but file here. We're going to take a look. First, let's use the space bar, or if you guys are using your window panes over there in Windows land, to do the most simple look, the easiest way to look at it. Work with me here. There we go. You'll now notice if you look at mine, I have JAMS BTT. It does not support those letters. They are simply gone. The umlauts for the but and the e with the accent stress for jamise, it's gone. It's not there because they're not basic text. They're not basic English 26 letters, no squigglies, no dots, nothing special, please. Even the fancier things you can do on a computer, which would be done in type, like letters that connect together like ligatures. So they have a lowercase f and f, lowercase l. If you're going to spell fluoride, lowercase, those letters will be connected because the ascenders of the two kind of intermingle. So there's special characters where they touch and make nice looking single characters that are made out of two letters for better, more pleasing reading. Those are also not supported. So let's take a look through some other methods. Let's open with text edit. It does show it in text edit, but it doesn't always work from this when you try to put it into other things. Sometimes you have to go through and find these and change them. Opening with Excel, it turned out okay there because it kind of remembers it. Let's open it. Also, I may not have closed it. That might have been the problem. Open with numbers. We'll go to the other side here. This is the Mac version of Excel, and it's JAMS beat. The point here is not that it's going to give me reliable results that are wrong. In fact, the point is that it gives unreliable, inconsistent results. The computer systems don't know what to do with those other characters, and those other characters cause even more problems if you try to bounce them between a Mac and a Windows computer, because the Mac and the Windows both use different coding to reach the same weird, I'm sorry to call them weird, that is again a little bit Anglo-centric there, because those are just, that's my language. But the non-English characters that show up aren't agreed upon how to get them. The code you type on a Mac and the code you type on a PC to get the same character are different. And the code you type is in fact actually their name to the computer. So you cannot use weird squigglies, you can't use umlauts, you can't use foreign language characters on a CSV sheet. And this can be a problem for mailing because although we all live in the United States at this point, business is international. In my time mailing, I'm working in variable data. I have sent, one of my clients had a lot of Canadian clients. So we sent a ton of mail to Canada. And one of the things that makes Canada unique in its character is as the British won the Canada territories from the French Empire during we call it the French and Indian War, the rest of the world calls it the 7 Years' War in the 1750s. As a result of that, when Canada became a British province and not a French province, one of the ways they kept it from revolting and becoming a hotbed of revolution like the American colonies turned into was they were okay all of a sudden with things, and it was very controversial at the time. They allowed Canada to retain its French character, French heritage, French language, and gasp, they allowed the people who were Catholic to continue to be Catholic. Papism, papery, these are all things that were dirty words in the 18th century in Protestant parts of the world because there was no bigger conflict at the time than between exactly what traditions you follow while you follow the same God. Anyways, I'm a bit of a nerd for colonial era history here. Sorry about that. But this is also one of those things that then leads to Canada having French words, French place names, French people names, and French language letters show up in their mailing lists. This can be a little problem because Francois becomes Frano because you can't use those other special characters. You start using the proper stresses, and Quebec just becomes Quebec because it can't do the accents over the letters. So because of Quebec and Montreal and international mailing lists, even locally in North America, also Mexico. Mexico uses characters like ñes and tildes and stresses over letters to show which part of the word you give the emphasis to. That's all an issue that comes back to bite you in mailing lists. And if you want a CSV to work, you kind of have to strip some of the languages of those things. Thankfully, their post offices are a little forgiving on those things and will still deliver them, even if it's being sent to Francois instead of Francois. The brute force, blunt, turn it to English letters approach does seem to work for now. We'll see if the balance of power in the world shifts. Maybe we'll have to create computers that can actually handle French and Spanish and other languages as well a little bit better. So anyways, those are things to look at, and it can be a problem. Like I say, my last job, we mailed a lot of things to Quebec, a lot of things to Montreal, and with these fancy furniture companies that I was doing these things for that sell high-end lamps and chairs, you also find yourself sending mail to places like Colombia, Mexico, the Philippines, and not all of their names work well in this, and it's just an issue you have to deal with. So that sometimes comes down to manual editing and converting names to but instead of butte just for the mailing list. And you hope that it doesn't offend the person getting it too badly, because it's no fun to get personalized mail that isn't quite personal. I will also have to make a quick soliloquy on the side here because I found it kind of funny and a realization as this Lamps Plus company you're working with. Oops, I said the name of the company. Sorry, I'm gonna say another company name. I have nothing bad to say about them, except a realization I had is we're sending all these mailers to Canada for furniture companies to come visit showrooms and see furniture at these trade shows. I realized that the name Lazy Boy that we use for recliners here in the US only makes sense in the US, because everywhere else in the world, the character that we call Z, they call Z. And by they, I mean Canada, Great Britain, Australia, any other English-speaking place in the world calls it a Z. And if it's not English-speaking, they have their own name for that letter. So Lazy Boy, Lazy Boy, it doesn't really translate, even from English to English. Shrug.